Hello, and welcome to the third episode of FellowCommerce. This is where every week we delve into the trends that are shaping our industry. My name is Philip Lepkowski. I'm the host of the show. And today we have a discussion that I'm very excited about because this discussion sparked as a spin off of a discussion on LinkedIn, a very heated up discussion that we had. I will present our guest. Mikael Brakker, who is e-commerce director for L'Oréal Luxe in Europe. Hi, Mikael.
Hi, Philip. Thanks for inviting.
Thank you very much for finding time for us. And thank you very much for the heated discussion that we had recently on LinkedIn. So let's remember that was a post about, I wrote about like how AI will not be able to replace, human assistants in the store. Because my argument was that in e-commerce we're very familiar with all of the personalization tools, and I worked in fashion industry for most of my career in e-commerce, and the thing that we also always struggled with was units per ticket that when it comes to offline store are usually very good, and when it comes to online store, e-commerce store, yeah, it's harder because there is no assistant to actually upsell, cross sell, and do all of the retail magic. So that was my basis for the argument that AI and personalization will not be able to take over and give us the same results as human assistants do these days. And it's important. I'm speaking of course, the horizon that we can humanly plan these days. These days, is anything is hard to plan, but like 3 to 5 years kind of horizon. But then responded with some very interesting thoughts.
So first of all, I want to agree with you because I'm in, the past couple of years, I'm in beauty. And everything that you said, I can totally sign off on because obviously offline has a higher average check. The beauty advisors are a game changer in the industry and so on and so forth. However, I would say that like if we want to predict the future looking to the past, it may work for some time, but then when like a true disruptor comes, and AI I think is a future disruptor. This is where all the statistics, all our previous experience, it just doesn't work. So I keep thinking, like, if you have Alexa, do you have Alexa or any other personal assistant? So
I'm not using the voice assistants that much. I'm using ChatGPT and Claude, the others, quite often, but not in the voice format.
So my colleagues bought me an Alexa-like speaker, and I use it for super basic stuff. I want to listen to my music. I want to ask the weather. I want to ask like how do I cook some stuff and etc. But what I noticed is that very fast I started to say thank you, and I started to say thank you because I felt like you know like like I should thank it because it talks to me, it gives me what I want, and it's kind of, it's not like a robotic voice, so it's kind of like human. And let's start like trigger some of my thoughts, like how far really AI and robots are from us getting the impression or start feeling them like a human being. And therefore, like if you're in the store, right, obviously sometimes you need assistance, blah blah blah, you talk to people, but then like do you really like dig into their souls? Is it really like very deep human interaction? I wouldn't say so. Of course it's more human than texting, whatever, a chatbot or something, but it's still very shallow. And then talking to ChatGPT, like, can it really mimic that kind of a conversation? And for me, yes, for me, ChatGPT, any kind of modern assistant can very good and in a very nice way mimic this human interaction. And then the border between the actual human and the machine is becoming very, very blurry. And that's what, and then when you posted it, like triggered me. Okay, this is today. Like let's rewind 2 years ago. 2 years ago, ChatGPT was like super basic. We were already amazed how it worked, but it was like really basic. Now it is really advanced, and in the text form, or if you talk to it, is pretty advanced. So, and then what's really, I feel that is really incredible is the learning curve. So what we're used to is, I read some books, I do some exercises, I test and learn, blah blah blah, and then I kind of gather a skill. Then if I want you, Philip, to gather that skill, you need to do the same thing, right? You can do it faster, better, or longer, less efficient, whatever, but it will take you X amount of time, which is comparable to what it took me. It could be, I don't know, half or double, it doesn't matter, but it's comparable. Now, the interesting fact about the AI is that once one whatever entity learns something, it is immediately transferred to all the entities that are using the same system, right? So the learning curve is, at least it's like it's not unique anymore. So you did it once and it works forever. Now then imagine that we clone a Philip or a Mikael, right? And we have 1,000 of them, or 16,000, like the amount of chips the big companies use. So there we go. Now it takes the same time. Let's even imagine it will take the same amount of time to learn a skill, but simultaneously you learn 16,000 skills that are there for you for any of your copy forever, and you just build on it. So that's this exponential curve of learning is a huge, huge disruptor. And then again, in 2 years, this thing went from being a bizarre, text geek thing to something that really everyone uses. You don't have to be a geek, you don't have to be commerce, you just need to have it. That's it. You can talk to it, you don't even need to type, right? So then in 2 years, will it be able to provide me, like a superhuman like interaction, recommendation of what kind of shoe do I need, or what kind of makeup do I need? But I'm super confident it can do it now, right? So that is one. Then second is a physical body, right? So when a thing is a thing, it's kind of half of your experience. So another, like my, I would say, insight or whatever, sharing my feelings. So the other day I watched some blogger buying a robot. It looks like a robot, right? It's like metal legs and hands. It's just resembling a human. So what they were doing, they were kicking it, and it was trying to get its balance not to fall. And I felt bad for this robot. I'm like, why are they doing that? Why are they being mean? And then I thought, like, now imagine they would be pushing a chair. I wouldn't feel bad for a chair, right? But then for this robot, I felt bad, even though it is like a very vivid resemblance of a human being. And then again, let's blend these things, these two thoughts together. So imagine this robot. First, it has the brain of the super advanced chat GPT. That is one. Second, whatever they're working, these Chinese companies, they're working on human skin. Even actually, L'Oreal has a human skin where we test some of the artificial up. Obviously, after artificial
Yeah,
human
let's make this disclaimer, otherwise there will be questions.
artificial human skin where we can test some skincare products, right? So imagine we take that robot, we put this human artificial skin, we use some mechanics, whatever the robot companies use to make it look very much like a human. Then it looks like a human, it talks like a human, It gives you information like, would it work as good as a beauty advisor? I think yes. I think it's going to be much better because of the learning curve. They will know everything, right? You need to, for another example, one like I premium segment, so luxury products. And one of the requirements we are having for the retailers to get our products, because we're selective, it's called selective distribution, is that there is a beauty advisor within the point of sales, and this beauty advisor has to have at least 3 years of experience or a diploma on the beauty knowledge, right? 3 years. What is 3 years for an exponential learning curve? So immediately we can have, I don't know, all of our beauty advisors or whatever your, I don't know what's it called, the shop
Yeah, like
assistant, the
a shop
fashion,
assistant. Yeah.
I don't know, car dealer, sellers, anyone. They all, like, once you dispatch them all, they work one day, and then they all work, I don't know, as many, 1,000 days. Just, the next day the experience is exponentially growing every day. So they have access to all the information you need. They don't forget anything. They follow your KPIs. They don't need any scripts because they are super expert in whatever field you need. So for me, I think 2 3 years, and it's only a question then of the right investment, of the right disruptor, who will say, okay, my shops now will have this army of shopper assistant that will cover, and I'm sure your AOV will grow together with this practice. I'm sure that they're going to do much better than humans. Now, then another thought, then, okay, will they replace? Like, what are those people going to do? That's a very good question. I have no idea what those people are going to do, but what I believe we're going to have is we're going to have luxurious premium point of sales where you actually talk to a human being, and it would be a differentiator. It would be a differentiating point for you to go and just to know that this is a human. I mean, again, you don't need them to be the best human in the world. You don't need to discuss some very deep, soul touching. You don't need those discussions. You're there to buy some shoes, some makeup, some skincare. But knowing that it is a real human being and it is a luxurious experience for you, this would be a differentiator.
Listen, this is very interesting. A lot of different stuff to unwrap here. But I really want to point out in the beginning that I also asked myself about being nice to AI. Is that a thing? Will that become a thing? And I truly believe that will be, because I believe that when the machines will rise, the first ones they will come after will be those mean guys who really push around the mean guys from, what's the name, Boston Robotics or something,
Uh,
push around the first prototype robots. So they will have some kind of memory about it, and they will say, no, 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 Philip and Mikhail actually said thank you a couple of times. So I
well,
guess
actually,
we're not killing them
jokes.
first. Yeah.
Let's flip this thing around. So imagine we have this human looking, feeling, talking robot, which we're nasty. We're like not being nice to it. We're saying, on disrespectful things. We push them around. We beat them. How does our brain then? What is it learning? It sees a human. It hears a human, and it's bad to a human. So that's actually a thought my wife planted in my head. Like, humans that are bad to robots will very soon become bad to human beings, because again the border in between will disappear, and it will be so hard to determine who is a human and who is a robot, that if you have a habit of being nasty and mean, you're just going to be mean and nasty to everyone. If we allow people to be mean to robots, at some point those people will become mean to people.
If robots will learn something from us, they will very quickly form unions, and we will have to deal with that. So
Absolutely.
that's 100%. But this is a brilliant point, I think, and that is something that humanity would need to deal with. But if speaking back to commerce and back to our initial conversation where it all sparked, I cannot agree with you more. I think that you're really nailing it in the head with the point about how cognitive abilities of humans versus, of course, AI is so much faster. It learns so much faster. So by the moment that average cognitive ability of AI will be much, much better than the average cognitive ability of the 100 or 1,000 store assistants that you can hire, just from all any kind of like behavioral testing or cognitive testing that I'm sure we will going through or doing in our workplaces, we know that it might differ. And then we have different tasks for different, like behavioral assessments and cognitive assessments that we're doing. And that's fine. But with the machines, with AI, the cognitive ability will be very high. Most likely, you will need to spend extra buck on it because the servers. If you want a smarter AI, if you want the more capacity, then you need to pay more. Basically, I guess that it will all come down to like a server space as we have today. I agree, but it only to this physical point. I think that this is so sci-fi these days that there will be like human looking robots and everything, and it's hard to believe that this will come around in like 3 years. But then you think that GPT-4 was a paid model that was really not used that much and was really kind of a geeky thing half a year ago. Now it's a free thing. The fact that it only took 6 months to actually get to that point is crazy, and the pace of how it changes is really something to think about. So maybe in 3 years you will be right, and we will have human-looking robots doing this assistance job in the stores with all of the cognitive abilities. That is really something that will be a very big shift, and something that I think nor the industry nor the society will be ready in 3 years. But let's see.
No, I also wonder, like, we cannot really imagine because the human brain is set for a linear stuff, right? Exponential anything is just too complicated. It's not intuitive at all. So we don't even know what's going to happen. So I catch myself thinking, so what was it, like 2 weeks ago when Donald Trump said they're going to invest $500 billion into AI. I was sitting there like, half a trillion. Can you imagine the amount of money this thing is getting? Half a trillion. That's like a it's a budget of a not a very small country, right? It's huge. It's huge. And then what can we achieve with this $500 billion, which has a multiplicator, right? Because immediately the next day, China said they're going to invest a 1 trillion yuan, which is like, I don't know, what is it, 100 million or something like that. So that's a
Yeah, they're also
multiplicator.
claiming that their models are cheaper to produce. We never actually know, so nobody actually showed any numbers or any evidence to that. But with this DeepSeek kind of
Yeah,
big
I
conversation
tried.
about that being so
It's
much cheaper.
actually
Yeah,
it's amazing. And then it turned out, I guess they stole everything. But I don't know. For one evening, in between the news, I was like, "Ooh, DeepSeek is so cool." I tried it. I'm like, "Wow, it's amazing." The next day, oh, okay, they stole everything. So I don't know.
which is also not something that there is like a clear evidence of or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
I guess that these rumors and everything will be running around any kind of like area where we're talking trillions and we're talking some of that magnitude. Of course, that will change very rapidly, and there will be a lot of information around it. And you know what? I really wanted to get your opinion on one more trend that kind of like spills from what we have just discussed. So another recent news was that OpenAI introduced what they call an operator, and that seems to be like an AI agent. Basically, you can ask ChatGPT for only $200 a month to do some stuff for you, online. Apparently, if you've watched the demo, it looks like it just a mouse pointer going around the browser, and it's like the experience is really. I was looking at it, and I was like, yeah, that seems like it's a very very early stage of that technology. The idea is crazy, and given again the pace of how it all develops, most likely in half a year there will be a very different situation. But today it's of course very early. But if we planning ahead for the strategies in our e-commerce businesses, it seems like that is really a big shift. I think the biggest shift we had since just the distance kind of selling and e-commerce began. Because if you think about it, my question is to you and to learn from you and your ideas would be, it seems like today e-commerce is one big friction. In e-commerce, what we're doing constantly is trying to remove the friction. And it seems like we don't see an end of it. It's like friction after friction, we're removing one, and then still there's a lot. And there is this new frictionless experience, which is you're just asking Alexa to search something for you, to buy it, and for this to be delivered, and that's it. That's the whole commerce. How fast do you think this will come around?
So, first of all, I've read about this OpenAI thing. I didn't see it in action. I would imagine that it will be as hard to control as it is hard to write a prompt that will, because the result sometimes is a bit, far what you have expected, and that's just text, right? And here the dimensions of what you need to do is multiplied by infinity. So it's kind of, for me, it's a question, how are we going to control it? But then shopping on Alexa was, built as a Amazon, voice shopping technology. It was there. It is there for like what, 10, 15 years. I don't know, right? Nobody's using really Alexa to shop, unless it's, buy me the same whatever. I always buy the same Tide or something, added to my basket. However, if you look at the kids who use tablets, they don't know how to type yet. So what they do is they just click on the mic, and then they tell, YouTube to play video. They just, talk, right? So that is a habit that is forming from the super young age. So when they're going to grow up, do they really want to, scroll through this endless, aisle of whatever they're shopping? I'm not so sure, because some things, like, okay, my wife is pregnant. We're going to have a baby in 3 months. So I went.
Congratulations! Wow, I know.
Thank you. Um, to Amazon to buy a baby monitor. I have no, like, what do I need? I need it to work. That's basically all that I need. And so I was like, I scrolled maybe 10, figured out what what does it mean for me that it works, right? What are the minimum requirements? And then I bought one. So if I could have,
Have you looked at reviews?
I didn't. What? So first of all, I obviously sorted for the ones that are more than four
Yeah.
stars or 4.5. I did, yeah, I did read some reviews, but like, I don't know, five or something. I didn't
Okay.
go really deep. Like, if I look at everyone likes it, then I read what are the bad reviews, like what do they don't like, and that's it. So I chose something. It had an Amazon pick, and I'm like, okay, if it's an Amazon pick, probably it's not shit, right? So, and I ordered. So if I could say, Alexa, buy me this thing, and it will ask me like, okay, do you need it with Wi-Fi? What kind of screen size do you need? I would be like, blah blah blah, and that's it, and it will buy, right? If we connect this to some kind of a visual information, I don't know, I have my whatever TV or something, because we're 70% of our information comes from the eyes. So if it will give me some kind of a visual information of what I'm buying, that's it. But it is, I mean, the technology is here. We don't need any, fancy GPTs. And I'm not using it, but I guess kids are. And when they're going to grow up, this is what they're going to use. And then it's going to become more sophisticated, and we will face like, okay, what is the um, AI search optimization? Like I saw something like that, right? Because you're going to like your search. If now on Amazon we need to win the top 5, 10 out of 100, or I don't know how many there on the first page, but then actually some users are scrolling through the whole 100, and if you're on the 25th position, your sales are not zero, right? So somebody's buying that. When we're using this AI, it's not going to be hundreds, it's going to be, single. So how do I make sure I'm one of five, or I don't have sales, or only, the boomers buying it, or old millennial grandpa is buying it, but then nobody else is. And I think that is, I mean, it's kind of limiting from our way of thinking. But then, do you really need that kind of selection? I mean, some things that are much less important than the baby monitor, I would like spend an hour just comparing some. It's ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just because I have so many. I'm like, okay, do I spend my 10 euros on this or that? I mean, it's a pathetic way of choosing things, spend wasting your time. So maybe it's all gonna change.
Listen, I agree with you, and I think that this only allows us to understand that importance of brand, because when you're asking for, I don't know, a burger to be delivered, what kind of burger? Yeah, of course the AI can ask you, or Alexa can ask you multiple questions about what kind of burger you want, and then pick the delivery type. But then you might also say, I want the burger from, I don't know, Burger King, In and Out, whatever that might be. And if you know the brand, then you will ask for a specific brand, which makes the brand building so much more important for companies in the future. So top funnel marketing, hello, and performance marketing really is a big question. And also, I think a big question in that equation will be regarding retail media, because it seems like retail media is something that is used heavily today, but exactly in a case of catching attention of somebody going through this friction of browsing and scrolling and doing all of the friction experience that we have in today's e-commerce. And it seems like, well, with this agent thing, it's not a thing. But also searching for something specific is one thing, but then think about, just when you were talking, I thought about an example of buying tickets. And sometimes we all know that buying, a ticket and then booking a hotel or something like this might be tricky. If you start searching for tickets today, tomorrow the prices can be different, the offers can be different or something. But AI can quickly go through all of the options and can compare multiple maybe history points, or just check it out on a daily basis for you and tell you that, hey, by the way, today is the best time to buy the tickets. You could have already forgotten about this. And I know that if I don't put it into my calendar and then remind myself of doing this, then chances are I will forget about it. So AI won't forget, and then this assistant won't forget. And I think that there are many use cases where it's not as straightforward as buying, like groceries or baby monitor or whatever that might be, that you just like a consumer task or a mission that you need to accomplish right now. That is kind of like, compare this with this and then give me variations, give me some analysis with that. So I think that there are some additional cases to that.
No, but it's I would say now it's still now is a disruptor. So now you can use AI, and I'm like the smartest ticket shopper because I use this top notch technology to outsmart all those greedy ticket retailers. But then in a couple of years, everybody's going to use them. So either they're going to adjust and figure out a way to outsmart the AI, or it will be simplified. We don't know. And another thing is, I was just also thinking while we were talking, like the product discovery, right? How is that going to be? Do we watch like TikTok all the time to figure out what I want to buy? Because the brands, they need to do their brand magic somewhere, right? Because exactly as you said, if you are going to be the brand of sneakers or mascara, whatever, you just say, I want the Lancome mascara. That's it. No way of competitors winning that search. So
It's very interesting. Actually, a very good point, because I agree with you that I think that commerce in the future will have two streams. One stream is entertainment, and another stream is just mission oriented commerce, where entertainment is kind of like a TikTok experience where you never knew that you needed this wonderful backpack that can hold your laptop and this and this and this and all this videos and everything that will tell you about some fantastic product you never knew or heard about. We actually had, on the first episode, we had Bjorn Onyebeni, and he mentioned a very interesting example. If you haven't watched the first episode, go to the channel and check it out. It was a cool one. We talked about Chinese trends, but he worked with this German catalog company Otto back in the day, and he said, "Listen, if you think about it." When you received an auto catalog back in the day, it was kind of the same experience. You never knew that you needed this something that you just saw drinking on a Sunday morning, drinking a coffee, going through that catalog, and you see something and you say, "Oh, I need that," and then you order it. It was never a mission. It was kind of an entertainment back in the day. So I think that this, kind of a TikTok experience is basically more or less the same, like live shopping. There's a new app. If you're not familiar with that, go check it out. It's called Whatnot. It's kind of a rising star, I think, in live shopping in USA. So finally, in the Western world, there is also this trend happening. And of course, the second stream is mission based. So where you know what you want. You want a baby monitor. You want a burger from this specific burger joint, and then you just order it, and it's just being delivered. That's it.
well, it's an interesting thought. It's actually like cycles, because if you roll back a little bit further, you would have a person knocking at your door, showing you how a vacuum cleaner works, and you're like, "Wow, I don't know, I want that," and you would buy a vacuum cleaner. And like the famous Tom Ford said that if I would ask people if they need a car, nobody would have a car because they didn't even know there is a car. They were riding horses. I don't know the exact quote, but so
I
it's
guess it was like, if you would ask people what they want, they will tell you a faster horse, or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, exactly, yeah, something like that. So all cycles. So we just need to imagine what's the next, reincarnation of this person knocking on doors and showing new stuff, and then auto a TikTok. What's the next reincarnation of that will be?
Interesting, interesting. So we're trying to keep the format of the show very short. So, Mikael, thank you very much for spending half an hour with us, guys. I think and I hope that this was an insightful episode for you. So let us know in the comments below, and please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel every week. We're having some amazing experts from the market to delve into the trends of our industry. And Mikael, thank you very much. So see you on the horizons of LinkedIn, and keep connected there. Thank you very much. Bye bye, guys.